a passion. You think about it 24/7. From the big buck coming through the woods or the big bass on the end of the line. From the tom answering your hoot owl call to the ducks flying in the fall. Most people just don't understand why we outdoorsmen love this land. Nothing can compare to the adrenaline rush you feel when that animal is out there in the field. We are outdoorsmen, and we love what we do, so let's keep this brotherhood strong and real. This is Ohio Buck Outdoors.
Hey guys, Pro Staffer Matt Dehart here with a very new Pro Staffer. I'm very excited to introduce him to you guys. His name's Jake Lorenzen. He got me into bow hunting, believe it or not, even though I'm a better shot than he is. But this is him. Why don't you tell us about yourself, man?
Well, I just, I came from a long line of good bow hunters and stuff, and just enjoy getting out in the outdoors and taking animals, anything I can and everything I can. Try to spend every minute I can out there, and just love doing it.
What's one of your favorite things to hunt? If you could only hunt one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? And what weapon would you use?
I have to say white-tailed deer and a compound bow.
Okay, there we go. Cool. All right. Well, me and Jake's hunted a lot in the past. One of our turkey films that you guys have seen is on here. This is actually me and his hunt. We set up on this bird at 6:50, I believe.
Yep.
And we ended up killing this bird at around 7:15. It was a really quick hunt, but for it to be a quick hunt, we did our homework. There's a lot of scouting that went in pre-season, a lot of early mornings for me and him, and we went out the night before and roosted them. We already knew what these birds were going to do before they knew. So what I'd like to do now is start playing this video, and I'm going to walk you through it, and we're going to talk about it. What you got right now is Jake's calling, actually, and where these birds are, they're up on a bean field, and what they did is they flew down on the bean field. It was quiet, and we were about to move, and we heard one gobble, and at that time me and Jake both called at the birds, acting like excited hens, and got them to commit, and the footage tells the rest. that, guys. There was about 2 weeks before we got Jake's bird, and I'll tell you what, that bird every morning, wasn't he, man? He's just hammering on us. We couldn't get him shut up, but as them old gobblers will do, he flies down and shuts right up. And all you can do there is run and gun him, and even sometimes that don't work. So what we did is we sat up one morning and we seen him fly down. Well, we heard him. Excuse me. We heard him gobble somewhere he never gobbled before. So we let the rest take place, and Jake went on a stalk, and I'm gonna let Jake tell you about that.
All right, we walked in that morning, like Matt had said here, and we actually had walked right underneath of them as they was roosted. And as we're sitting there, you know, out in the field, we seen him fly down out in the field, and he was all henned up, had several hens with him. We knew we weren't going to call him in, so we had to make a stalk. I went down around up through the trails, and as I was walking, you know, the turkeys have such great eyesight, the hens actually spotted me, and they started running back into the woods, luckily not out in the field. I set up there on the trail, and they just happened to be crossing about 30 yards in front of me, and as soon as I seen the red head and the beard, I pulled the trigger.
Boom, just like that. And I'll tell you what, man, it's really fun getting yourself a bird, but it's also really fun to see your buddies get a bird. Alright guys, well, that's our turkey season wrap up, so now we're going to get into some deer hunting. Me and Jake kind of had a little bit similar of a season this year, got off to a shaky start. I had to miss opening day. First that I got out was the weekend of opening week, and doe come in at 15 yards. I thought she was about 25, and that's what I shot for, and shot right over. And as much as I don't want to admit it, I actually had a second shot at her at 30 flat and missed her there too. So, I mean, it happens. You know, you're going to miss. You're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games. Jake, you want to tell us about one of your misses this year?
I had a rough year this year bow hunting as far as misses. I had a doe that I could think of. You know, I had one in the blind. She was out, same thing as Matt here, 15 yards. Drew back my bow, and she was right out in the open field, no excuses, and let the arrow go. And luckily there was a group of deer there, and I actually stuck the one I wasn't even aiming at because I had hit the window of the blind. Hit it. Stuck her right behind the ear.
Hey, it happens, man. It happens to everybody. But the thing that really makes it even more special is that redemption time. Is you miss that deer and you get your second shot and you let her have it. And I ended up the buck I took this year come out, and I took it mainly because of the crooked brow. Man, I love them weird antlers. There's something about them. I seen that and I knew I was going to take it right there. And the really cool thing is I got to shoot that deer with my wife, but unfortunately we did not get that on video. So, but we did get the picture of the deer. Really nice deer. First non-typical, had some kickers on the back and around the sides, and of course that crooked brow time. That was really cool. And Jake, you redeemed yourself too, didn't you? 3 times, I believe.
Yeah, I ended up actually only taking 3 does and several coyotes this year with my bow, which I was actually proud of that. But no buck. I didn't get a big buck this year. I was really holding out for a big one, and had several close encounters with some small basket rack bucks and just smaller bucks that needed a couple more years.
Now, tell us, because me and myself, I'm not a trophy hunter, and I ain't gonna knock it, to each his own, but tell us and the fans, you know, I want to know, what does it feel like knowing that you do not have your buck tag filled and you're watching a buck that's mediocre, that a lot of people, like I would shoot, you're letting that deer walk off. Tell me why you're doing that, what you're feeling.
Well, the reasoning behind doing that is it is hard. You know, I'm gonna hit that first. It is hard. and you kick yourself in the butt several times, like I did this year. And you know, I got to a point where I've killed a lot of smaller bucks and does and stuff like that, and I feel it's time for me to get a big one, and I'm going to hold out until I get one.
Yeah.
So the small ones I see, you know, wait a couple years and they'll be that big one that I'm looking for.
But you enjoy watching them smaller deer. You know, you're not just out there to kill. You enjoy watching them deer, just as every hunter does. You enjoy watching them. You get your phone out and you shoot them, and that's your harvest per se.
Now you get a doe, you get a nice big doe in front of me, you know, and you know we need doe management on a lot of properties. I won't hesitate to take a doe. That's why I took 3 this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it is hard. I mean, you gotta, when you're trophy hunting, you'll see a lot of deer and you'll pass up a lot of deer. And,
yeah. It's
you know, I kicked myself in the butt this year. One particular hunt I can remember is I had a nice 10-point come in on me. He was only 10 yards, and it was during the rut, so he was chasing a doe. I drew back on him. He was probably a 140-inch deer. I drew back on him, and I hesitated. You know, I brought my face off the string to make sure he was big enough, and that split second that I hesitated, because he was chasing a doe, you know, he took back off, and I didn't get the shot.
Okay.
So, you know, you'll kick yourself in the butt a lot, but at the end, it's well worth it.
Yeah. And you got a lot of videos on your cell phone, I believe, from bucks that come in that weren't shooters, and this is how you captured them. You know, you videoed them. And why don't you take us through some of that?
Well, the first video is actually it was rut season. The same day I was talking about the 10-pointer I passed up, I had a couple does come down, and actually had a little 5-point. He come down chasing the does, and right after him was a decent 8-pointer. I decided to pass on him when he come up through, and wasn't able to get him on camera, but he's behind me. But as you can see, the 5-pointer, he's right underneath me, and just like you said before, I enjoy watching them, and I learn something every time I get to watch a deer. They might travel a different way, they might do something different. You know, you learn something every time, and that's why a lot of times I like to film them. It's because you can look back and maybe see something you didn't notice before.
Okay.
All right, and then the second video that I had on the phone this year was a nice 6-point. He actually came in right behind me. Was right underneath my stand all morning, and as you can see in the film, he actually came right underneath my tree, like sniffing the tree I was in, and then he had jumped over the creek and went on, just made his way over. But you know, like getting back to the last point I made, I'd never seen a deer travel that pattern before. I'd never seen a deer come that way. It just gives you one more option, you know, one more place to watch while you're in the stand. And actually, Matt's brother here was actually lucky enough the next weekend he had took that deer. I was unfortunate to get it. He was a little too small for me, but it was the antlerless muzzleloader season here in Ohio anyways. I couldn't. But congrats to Matt's brother here. He was able to
kill his first deer.
Yeah.
With a bow.
It was kind of neat for me to have the video on my phone of the deer the week before he shot it.
That was sweet. That was really cool. So that's that, but owner of OBO, Joe Gawley, has a video on here that we're going to show you now, and it's a cool looking deer. Look at that rack on that thing, man. I know you wouldn't shoot him, Jake, but I might let an arrow fly out. So, I know you're a trophy hunter. Got a lot of people just not getting into the sport. Would you recommend it for a just starting out guy being a trophy hunter?
Oh no, you know, I started out with shooting anything I seen, and you know, it's hard enough for me to sit there and see all these deer and pass them up. There's times I will, you know, other than shooting does, there's times I won't shoot anything, and like this year I didn't get a buck. I recommend for somebody just starting out, you know, let them shoot whatever they want. If they're comfortable shooting that deer, let them shoot it, because they're going to get that rush. It's going to get them hooked, and they're going to love it.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what's going wrong with the industry today. Is you know, everybody talks about this, you know, trophy rack, this, that, and kids that are killing little basket racks, you know, they get down because that's not a mature deer. Well, that little kid, that might have been his first deer, you know. I mean, that's what it's all about. But you know, there's seasoned hunters like Jake here that want that trophy, and you know, that's understandable and that's respectable. Myself, I'm not gonna go kill a little spike buck, but you know, I like a little bit of size, but you know, I don't care per se on the rack, but you know, that's the beauty of the sport. Everybody has their own little thing that they love about it. As far as deer hunting goes, Jake, one of the questions a lot of people would like to know is, what do you do as a trophy hunter in the early season, getting ready for that opening week? What do you plan on taking first? What are you scouting for first to kill, either a doe or a buck? And what if it's the first day and that trophy buck comes in? Do you use your buck tag on that, or walk me through there?
You know, it's it's a lot of work. I mean, I know, you know, you put in just as much work as I did. We put in the work together and stuff, and to plan for hunting trophies, it's a lot of work. You know, I put out a lot of minerals and stuff, and feed, and a lot of trail cameras, and checking trail cameras, hanging stands, and it's a lot of work. And as far as the opening day, big buck walks out in front of me. That's what I've been waiting for. You know, I waited all year this year for it, and it didn't happen. I'm going to take him.
You're taking him.
It's, you know, it's kind of hard because, well, like this past season, we early season I had seen a real big deer. Well, I passed up on several deer that I probably shouldn't have because I had that big one in mind. But something you got to look at if you are a trophy hunter is when you see that deer, you know if you want to shoot it or not. And I mean, if it don't matter if it's opening day or last day or the middle of the season, it don't matter. When you see that deer and you know you want to shoot it, you're going to shoot it.
Okay. All right, now, okay, here we go. I got my bow, I got my camo, I got my tree stand, I got my woods. I want to kill a 4 to 5 year old deer. I want to kill a mature deer. What am I looking for in that deer as far as characteristics, dead giveaways, and just the attitude? What can I expect an old deer to act like?
Oh, he's going to be a lot smarter. He's going to stay in the thick cover. You know, if your best place to set up on one's between your food and your bed, he ain't going to travel far. He's mostly going to be nocturnal. And as far as what to look for and characteristics and stuff, everybody's got their own opinion. You know, some people like the real wide racks, some people like the thick ones, some people like the tall ones, and like you, some people like the just weird antlers, you know, yeah. Going everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know, to find a mature deer, you're going to look at, you know, its weight, its body size, its antlers. You know, not only just its antlers, you look at the base of the antlers, how close they are, how far apart they are.
Now, what does that mean? If they're really close, what does that mean?
If they're really close, it's a bigger deer.
It's a bigger deer.
Older deer. Because as they get bigger, the bases grow bigger and they'll be closer together.
Okay.
As opposed to a big a young deer, they're out farther. That's really how you can. I mean,
Okay.
that's something I look at.
Okay.
And then
what can I get away with hunting not mature deer as to compare to a mature deer? Like if I got a big old mature deer coming in, I'm not going to be able to stand up and draw like I would on a young deer. What are some tips that you would give our viewers to if he's coming in and he's got you busted, you're sitting down and you don't feel comfortable with that sitting down shot? What are the steps that you take to get up and prepare yourself for that shot? What are you looking, say, like a turkey, we're waiting for that turkey to look away, and then we move as fast as we can to get to where we want to be. Now, with a deer, what are we waiting for him to do?
with a deer, I would say something I like to do, just look ahead. You know, you see a deer traveling this trail, you know, you kind of get an idea on which direction he's going and where he's going to go. You try to pick out trees or brush or whatever he's going to walk behind. When he gets behind that, that's when you try to do your movement. But I wouldn't recommend, you know, the fast movement like we do for turkey hunting, because you don't know if there's a doe behind you. And with a big mature buck, if that doe spooks, he's gone.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't move fast, I would move slow. When he gets behind a tree or a brush, somewhere where he cannot see you, he turns his head, puts his head behind another deer or something. Do your movement then.
Okay.
But if you don't feel comfortable making the shot, don't make it.
Okay.
We need to make an ethical kill, and you know the animal deserves that. And
Yeah.
if you're not comfortable making that shot, then let him go.
Perfect. All right, I got 2 more questions for you in the whitetail woods. All right, I got that buck in range. He's behind a tree. Okay, and I'm going to go draw back my bow, and I have just started putting pressure on that bow, and then that buck looks at me. Do I finish out my draw cycle, or are you putting it back and waiting right there like a tree? You ain't moving a muscle. What are you doing?
I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna continue to draw, because if it's a mature buck, it's hard to come by to get a shot at one. You know, it don't happen every day. You continue that draw cycle. You know, sometimes it might work, but I'm not willing to try it.
Yeah.
If he does see you, he's a smarter deer. He's gonna get out of there.
You're gonna get smart. Just want to touch up on one other thing you said, to position yourself between his bedding area and his feeding area, because a big buck, he ain't gonna move too much. Now, say like me, I'll hunt the same stand for a week. Every day I'll go back there. I know that's not exactly right, but that's just how I do it. I mean, I end up killing a deer, but if I'm wanting to hunt a big buck, how many days, if say you have the whole week to hunt, how many days would you recommend hunting it, in your opinion? And what am I looking for as far as weather, moon, all that stuff, to tell me when I can hunt that deer?
If I got a whole week to hunt, I'm gonna get on and look at the weather.
Okay.
If I only got one stand to hunt, I'm gonna hunt it when the wind is right. The wind's the most important thing. If your wind's blowing towards his bed, if I position my stand between food and bed, I got the wind blowing towards his bedding area, I'm not gonna hunt that stand. I don't care. I'd rather not hunt than blow him out of there.
Okay.
Now, if I got multiple stands like I do, I try to set my stands up. They may not be in the perfect spot, but they're good for all different types of winds. You know, if I got a north wind one day, I'm gonna go and hunt this stand. If I got a south wind the other day, I can hunt this stand. You know, we all kind of got our number one stand,
Yeah.
like you do, but you can't always hunt that stand.
Yeah.
And you know, as far as everything else on the weather, you just got to get out there and put your time in. I mean, you'll notice I don't really hunt in the rain. Snow, I'll hunt out in the snow, but you know, real cold. It's just
Every deer kind of moves different, you know. are you letting you're letting your deer movement predict, you know, if you'll hunt in them harsh conditions. Like if the deer are moving real good when it's cold like they normally do, or maybe they'll just bed down. It just depends on your deer. If you got steep valleys or whatever, you know, and they can bed down in that cold weather, there ain't no sense in going out there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the deer movement is what gets me out there. If the deer are moving, I'm out there.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't, like I said before, I don't hunt in the rain. If it's the rut, deer are moving all over the place, I'll sit there in the pouring rain. I'll sit there in the wind, but still the wind's got to be right.
Yeah, maybe get you a ground blind for the rain. Yeah. All right, we'll recap here. Preseason whitetail. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to have the trophy hunter aspect of what Jake's going to do to get ready for that big buck or the management does or whatever, and then you're going to come over to me and I'm going to be the everyday hunter. I just want to kill something. All right. So we're going to start with Jake. Jake, take us through it. You're beginning to start of season. You got preseason to start of season.
Okay, you know, I'll first, before I do anything, I'm going to put out cameras. I'm going to put out trail cameras. And I'm going to, you know, check the cameras. I want to find out if the deer are moving through that area or not first. And I might not have the biggest buck. I might not have that many deer moving through there. All I want to see is that there is deer moving through that area. If there is, great. That's what I'm looking for. And then, you know, I'm gonna try, before I even start to put feed out and stuff, I recommend, you know, if you guys can feed, you know, check the laws and stuff. I know there's some places that won't allow you to feed, but here in Ohio we're allowed. So, you know, before I go to put food down and stuff, I'm gonna try to pick out a stand location. You know, I'm gonna look, because you don't want to have to try to move that food spot. You know you're gonna put your stand here. Go ahead and start feeding in that area. And, you know, I'm going to put the food out, and I'm going to set the trail cameras, and I'm going to continue to check them. And then once we get closer to season, you know, I'm going to go out, try to hang the stands and trim shooting lanes and get everything ready. But probably about the last month or so, I'm going to stay out of the woods. I'm not going to put in any scent in the woods or anything. I want to stay out. You know, a lot of people like to make the mistake on going and checking their trail cameras the day before hunting season starts, or you know, a week before. I recommend don't, because you just, every time you go in there, you're adding more scent. And a deer's nose is really strong. You know, you put scent in there, they're going to smell it. You're drawing them close to your camera to get pictures of them, and you're putting your scent on the camera. So just try not to, closer to deer season, and even during deer season. A lot of people want to check their cameras every day they go out and hunt. Try to space it out.
Okay. Now, me, my approach is a little bit different. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look for sign. I typically like to hunt by a water source. You can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be by a water source. Everything has to eat and everything has to drink. Where we hunt in Ohio, we got a lot of cornfields and a lot of creeks that run through there. So what I do is I'm going to look, I don't like to hunt hardwoods. I like to hunt out on that field because I like a wide view. I want to see what's coming from either which way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have mineral lick. I use a trophy rock. I'm a firm believer in that, but I'm really excited to see infraction mineral licks. We've heard great things about them from Joe. But what I'm gonna do is, I agree with Jake on this one. I'm gonna find a tree first of all that I can hang a stand. There ain't no sense putting bait out if I can't hang a stand anywhere near it to get a shot on that bait pile. So I'm gonna find me a tree. I'm gonna hang that stand, and I'm gonna cut my shooting lanes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to range spots around my tree stand. I'm going to put my mineral lick. I'm going to put some corn, you know, whatever I want to out there. Some apples work really good. Put them out there. And then, you know, I don't particularly use a trail camera, Not saying anything bad about it. Honest to God, I'm just too poor to have one. But what I do is I'll sit there and I'll look for scat, I'll look for tracks, I'll look for bedding areas, and I want my stand to be somewhere near that, not right in the middle of it all. Say I got on a field line all kinds of tracks, I'm going to be tucked into the timber as much as I can with giving myself a good shot. And that's pretty much all I do. I don't really spend a whole lot of time in the woods, like Jake said, about a month and a half out. I don't really go to the woods too much. It tends to give me more anxiety than anything, because I start seeing stuff hitting my bait piles and I start getting too excited and I can't sleep the night before. So I just leave it go, and opening day I'm out there. That's all I do. So if you're an everyday hunter and you do it like that, then me and you got something in common, I reckon.
Alright, so now we're going to start talking about early turkey season, pre-season, before turkey season. What are you going to do? If I'm new to turkey hunting and stuff, I don't know anything about it, how do you go about scouting? And what do you do?
Alright, well, first of all, welcome to the Brotherhood if you're new. What I'm going to do around the end of March towards the beginning of April, I'm going to wake up early in the morning like I would go turkey hunting, and I'm just going to go out to the woods that I'm going to hunt, and I'm going to listen for them gobbles. They're going to start gobbling towards mid-March, early in the morning. They're not going to gobble a whole lot off the roost, and what I'm doing is I'm just listening for them gobbles. I just want to see, what birds, how many birds I got on this property. Do I got mature birds? Mostly jakes and mature birds. What do I got? Get out there, listen. Another thing, I'll walk the property. I will look for tracks. I'll look for turkey crap or turkey scat, whatever way you want to call it. A gobbler will be a J-shaped. And as far as tracks go, it's pretty easy to tell between a hen and a tom or a jake. There's going to be a substantial size difference. I mean, there's like a measurement on the middle toe as to the other two on the length of the middle toe. It can tell you the gobbler. I mean, it's hard to mess up. So that's what I'm going to do early season. I might get out, towards the start of season, opening day. I might get out early in the morning. I might do a fly down cackle, or take out like a mouth call that I know I'm not going to use too much, or my box call, hit it, get them gobbling, get them excited, and then back out real quiet. I don't want them to know that I'm there. I want them to think that there's a hot hen there that they can't catch. So in opening day, they hear that hot hen flies down, and he's thinking, okay, I got to get down and I got to get to her now, because she keeps slipping out. I'm not getting there soon enough. And that might provoke a gobbler to come in, and you might have a quick hunt like that.
Yeah, something I know, me personally, what I like to do is pretty much the same things as him. You don't want to get in there and call too much. You don't want to educate them. Don't use the same calls over and over and over. And you don't want to use the call you plan on using when you're hunting. You don't want to educate them, and they know that they're going to get used to that, and they're going to know. Then something else I like to do is I like to get there in the mornings. I like to sit back from a distance and watch, the fields or woods, wherever you plan on hunting. I like to watch the turkeys, take you some good optics in there and see where they're traveling at, because it's easier to call a bird where he already wants to go. Mm-hmm. If you already know where he's going, it's going to be 10 times easier to call him there. And that's, hitting on top of what you said, that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. Like you said, if you're new, you don't know too much about it. What do I want to use for calls? Well, a box call is going to be one of your best bets to go with if you're new. It's easy, simple. You can do every call on there. You can do the purr, the yelp, the cut, the fly down cackle, the gobble. You can even do a key on some of these box calls. Now, as far as spring wise, you're not going to use that key too much. I mean, you could use it, and it might be a good tactic, playing the sympathy side of that hen. But as I say, a slate call. If you're used to a slate call, you can get real soft. You can get real loud with that slate. Variation of sound depth is one of the things I feel is one of the most overlooked things in the turkey woods. And mouth call, if you can play it, I mean that's what we roll with. I love a mouth call. I know you like mouth call, but just because you have a mouth call in doesn't mean that you have to play it. You could be playing a pot call or a slate call and have that mouth call in your mouth, and you're good. As far as what I'm looking for to set up, I'm getting ready to hunt these woods, and okay, what am I looking for a setup? Well, first of all, you're looking, like Jake said, where are them birds going? Where are they going to be? What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for bushes that I can tuck myself in. I'm going to look for a shady spot I can get under. I might even go out and make like a little makeshift blind. It all just depends on the terrain, but that all, once again, comes in with scouting, getting to know the land. Aerial view maps, you can get it on the Mossy Oak app, the Outlook Sportsman app or whatever, and you can look at your spots, and you could, pretty much a perimeter around the roost tree, and what are the obstacles? Do I have a pond over here? I have thick woods right here. I got a field right here. That stuff is going to let you know about what you want to do, where you want to set up. Always have 2 or 3 spots picked out where you might be able to set up at to kill that gobbler. And that could be all you need for a successful hunt. And from us here at OBO, this is Matt Dehart.
Jacob Lorenzen.
And we just want to wish you guys a very, very blessed turkey season. Be safe, and God bless you guys, and thanks for stopping by. This is OBO signing out.